and we're doing it better than anybody else alive. It's so hard for me to sit back here in this studio looking at a guy out here hollering my name. When last year I spent more money on Bill Lincoln in buying for one bag of world together than you make. You took the truth, the Rolex, where Diamond Rings, where Dick Deal, Wheel Deal, Limousine, Jet Flag, son of a gun. Flag, son of a gun. And I'm having a hard time holding down this stuff.
Hey yo, it's that time in the show when we like to take a little survey. So is there anybody here that came to see that red hot black and white express? Survey says one more for the good guys.
Welcome to Fantasy Kingdom. I'm your host, Mikey. Riding with me, Shotgun, the handsome gentleman, my co-host, Howie. How you doing, brother?
Good.
You know, we're going into week 3. We were talking before the podcast started. The theme of this year, patience. We do have some patience and scramble should be the theme of this year because we've had some devastating injuries in week 2. Watching Chubb go down was horrible. And then in practice, Trayvon Diggs goes down, which is going to hurt, Dallas's defense.
They're very deep, though. Their defense.
Not a CB though.
Well, they got a couple other guys. I don't think they're. I mean, it's terrible to lose somebody of that caliber, but it's definitely a next man up type of situation right now. There he is,
Scott. You're here to watch Howie eat his hot pepper because he failed his X Factor last week.
I did, but I got it close.
We'll get to that. But I don't know. Their backup corner, who was starting before Stephon Gilmore got there, just signed with another team. They released him, and then Trayvon goes down. It's hard to replace a All-Pro cover corner.
It's hard to get through a season though with everybody.
Yeah,
I mean,
maybe they won't be as dominant as they have. There'll be guys you can throw to, But really, that whole defense centers around Micah Parsons.
Right. If the quarterback can't get up off his butt, he's going to have trouble. He's going to have trouble throwing it downfield. So,
yep. Yeah. Chubb went down. They signed Kareem Hunt, which what we talked about in our Wednesday pod. They say Jerome Ford will still be RB1, but let's see for how long.
Right.
I imagine he's only going to be RB1 until it's time for till Kareem Hunt's actually football shape ready, and then he'll probably take over. So ride the Jerome Ford train while you can. But let's jump into the week 2 studs and duds. From quarterback, we have Kirk Cousins, who led the way this week in points. Although he lost, he did his thing in fantasy.
That's the best thing about fantasy. You can get a team that isn't winning, but they're scoring a lot of points. We got several of them.
Scott said, he is here to watch you eat it because when we lost, he did eat the pepper, and he said that he'll never do that again.
Oh, come on, make a challenge.
No. All right. So another one, Daniel Jones, in that amazing comeback they had against the Arizona Cardinals. Russell Wilson, guys who have been dead, will be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
And then for our honorable mentions, we had Josh Allen, Jared Goff, and Josh Dobbs made his, fantasy appearance in that Giants game. Seeing Wilson on the studs list was new because we haven't seen that in about 2 years.
He's had a rough time,
Yeah.
But hey, we'll see what happens.
Yep. On the running back side, we had Brian Robinson, who led the way.
Yep.
Kyren Williams, who seems to be the lead back in LA now, especially now that they've traded Cam Akers to Minnesota. Saquon Barkley before he got hurt. And then honorable mention, we had DeAndre Swift, who's in a timeshare, but Kenneth Gainwell didn't play. So it'll be interested to see how week 3 plays out for him. Raheem Mostert and Jerome Ford stepping in for Nick Chubb.
All right.
From a wide receiver standpoint, we had Keenan Allen, who led the way, who was one of Howie's picks last week to be his stud. But yep, his S factor last week. Puka Nuka, the hot name right now, who's looking like Cooper Kupp out there, catching 15 balls. Then Mike Evans were the top 3. Honorable mention was T. Higgins, Nico Collins, who Howie's been pounding the table for since week 1, and Tyler Lockett, who I crapped on last week.
Yeah,
I was like, I wouldn't go with him because of DK. Well, DK got hurt, and Tyler Lockett stepped up.
Yeah, he's always there. It's just it's a kind of a lot of mouths to feed type of thing, because usually they really like their tight ends on that team, and heck, this year they still got Disley or not? I couldn't.
They have Fant. They don't have Disley. They have Fant and a couple others.
Yeah, I was going to say I couldn't tell you who their tight ends are this year.
Well, Noah Fant is the one that came over in the Russell Wilson trade.
Right.
He was the former first rounder out of Iowa, who played alongside T.J. Hawkinson in Iowa.
Another Iowa guy.
Yeah, there's so many of them.
A lot of them, boy.
Tight end U.
Yeah,
tight end U. And then from tight ends, T.J. Hawkinson led the way. Then it was Hunter Henry. Welcome back, Mark Andrews. He suited up and played and hit the top 3. And then from an honorable mention, we had Darren Waller and Travis Kelce. Kelce returns.
I also want to give honorable mention to Logan Thomas for holding on to that ball when the guy about took his head off.
Of course, you're a Washington fan.
He went down like a bag of rocks, but he had that ball gripped. It wasn't going nowhere.
And it was a dirty hit. That was a dirty hit. Such a dirty hit.
Well, that's 2 weeks in a row that guy did that.
I know.
So
we'll see what they decide to do.
See what they do.
So let's talk about some of the duds at quarterback. We had Derek Carr, who they won the game, but man, he did not put up any fantasy points.
Yeah, they had to rely on Taysom Hill quite a bit in that game.
Yep.
Yep.
It
was an ugly game. And they should have won it easy. But it was a real ugly game.
Yep. And then Jimmy Garoppolo came into Buffalo, looked good on the opening drive, and then he just tanked after that. Disappeared. And then another guy, Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence did not show up at home against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Right. They expected a lot more of him.
Yep. And then the dishonorable mention, we had Deshaun Watson, who's now made this list for the duds twice in 2 weeks. And Tua did not do well against New England at all. They won the game, but it wasn't because of Tua. Everyone's talking about Tua as he's like this MVP's candidate. He did not look very good. He looked good in the first half and bad in the second half against Belichick.
Well, Belichick will do that to you.
Yeah.
He's like a computer with a human. Computer always make a human look stupid.
Right.
And Belichick, no matter how bad a team he's got, he's always going to make the other team. He's going to find their faults.
Yep. No, I'm with you on that. Running backs, Najee Harris leads the way for a second straight week. He's just not putting up the fantasy points. Spin, choose 2. Metcalf, Olave, Cooper, Kirk, Addison.
I'll tell you what, this week I like Kirk and Addison out of that group.
Man, you are really just swinging for the fences this week, aren't you?
I am. I've got a lineup that's decimated, and it's full of I wouldn't say subs, but secondary characters.
Let's see. So
I mean, Metcalf's still hurting. Olave's going up against Green Bay. Cooper's got Deshaun, who I've got on my sit list. To me, I look at that. To me, it looks easy.
the problem with Cooper is Deshaun Watson just hasn't done anything.
That's what I'm saying. He's got
You
got
know?
Watson and
I would probably go Olave, and then what's wrong with Metcalf?
he took a shot to the head.
Is he
for the
playing?
ribs.
Is he playing?
I think he's playing, but I'm not sure he's fully back.
Jordan Addison is going against the Chargers, who give up just 1 billion passing yards a game.
Yeah.
So I could see going Jordan Addison and Olave if you want to sit Metcalf. My issue is Kirk. I haven't seen anything from Lawrence yet. And his number one receiver is Ridley. He's going to get hit. So Kirk's a risky play. Cooper's always a risky play with Deshaun until Deshaun shows something. So really it's between Metcalf, Olave, and Addison. Metcalf had the head injury, although it's hard to sit him. Olave and Addison seems like the play here.
It may be. I've got them both on my team. And my three receivers I'm going with this week are Mike Williams, Addison, and Tyreek. So
Okay.
And I could have played Olave and St. Brown, but St. Brown I'm not sure about his toe. So I decided to go. I decided to go big time. Secondary characters, and if I lose, I lose. But I've got a good upside on everybody.
Yeah. Oh man, these are rough ones this week. Spin at running back. You have Stevenson against the Jets. You have Connor at Dallas, and then you have Rachaad White. And Rachaad White is playing. Who's Tampa Bay playing? Can't remember. Tampa Bay's playing somebody tough too, I think. But honestly, I am not going Connor against Dallas. So because that Dallas front line is just nasty, I'm probably going Stevenson and Rachaad White just out of process of elimination. I don't like Stevenson's matchup at all against the Jets, but
I feel for
better
you,
than
though.
Dallas.
I feel for you though, because I sat Connor, I've
Yeah.
had Rachaad, and I dropped him, and I'm not a big Stevenson fan either. So I really feel for you in your running back situation there.
Mm-hmm. Alex comes in and says, made a trade this morning. 3 flex 12-man PPR league. Traded Bijan for ETN and James Cook. Second best running back was on my team was Sanders, so needed a better RB. Also, do we start Sanders over Hopkins as the third flex? So
Hopkins is banged up.
I like the trade of Bijan for ETN and Cook. I think that's, because Cordell Patterson's getting ready to come back. They're not going to not play him. So Bijan's going to be in a timeshare. ETN is the lead back. James Cook is the lead back. I like the trade. Sanders has the, Andy Dalton starting for him. Remember? Something tells me you still go with Hopkins. Who's Hopkins playing this week? Let's see.
Hopkins is still is a little banged up. I know that.
Yeah, he's not practicing, but he's playing.
Right.
It's what he does every year.
Yeah.
Where's Hopkins? I need to get the games. Hold on 1 second. So, who would you go with, Sanders or Hopkins?
Well, of course, you explained the Hopkins thing to me, but God, Sanders hasn't done anything yet.
Hopkins is going against the Browns. Sanders is going against Seattle with no quarterback. I'm going Hopkins. I like his upside over Sanders.
Yeah, I'll go with D-Hop.
I go D-Hop. But I do love the trade. Bijan for ETN and James Cook. You got 2 starters for 1.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it a lot. Tommy coming in. What's going on, brother? Joe Burrow hurting a lot of fantasy owners early on. He's also dealing with a calf injury. Yeah, that's something to monitor. He's actually in my sit and start going down. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Choose one. Metcalf, Cooper, Kirk, Connor. I'm going Metcalf over that group.
Yeah. I mean, I still like Kirk this week. Just out of my head. But Metcalf on a normal week, healthy.
Jacksonville is playing Houston, so the matchup's there. But I have seen nothing from them that tells me that they're gonna do well.
Yeah.
So until I see it, I can't do it. I would go Metcalf. You would go Kirk. Sounds good.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Only concern is that Hopkins may be on a snap count like last week. Yeah,
Always.
that is a concern. But when you look at it, it comes down to what Sanders is going to look like. Sanders hasn't been great to this point, even with Bryce Young. How's he going to look, against a defense without Bryce Young, with Andy Dalton behind center. So it's a risk either way. I personally would go D-Hop because he's more of a gamer, but that's just me. You got to go with your gut. Comes in. Should I trade Olave for Myers and Davante Adams? The problem is they're both on the same team.
No, he's trading Olave and Myers for
Trading. Ooh.
It depends. Davante's been hurt this year. I mean, it's early in the season.
Mm-hmm.
Olave's got,
a lot of mouths to feed there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I would probably do it because Davante is kind of quarterback proof.
Well, and if he gets hurt, now you've got Myers.
Well, he's trading Olave and Myers for Davante, so
okay. Yeah,
so he's trading away Myers. I would probably do it. Davante is still a fantasy. Well, it depends. If it's a redraft league, I would do it. If it's a keeper league, I would not because Olave has a longer projection than Davante Adams.
All right. Yeah, Davante's for right now.
Yeah.
And I think you can get away with that trade.
Yeah, if it's a redraft league, I would make the deal. If it's a keeper or a dynasty league, do not, because Olave is actually one of the young receivers up and coming. Here's another question comes in. It says my wide receivers are Amon-Ra St. Brown, Ridley, Kupp, and Puka. Okay, and that goes back to the trade of Olave and Myers for Adams. I would do it.
Yeah, that low.
No, knowing those are the guys you have in your back pocket. Amon-Ra, Ridley, and Kupp's going to be back in a couple of weeks or already there. Then you add Davante in there. Then you just play matchup with those four. I would do it in a heartbeat.
What are you? I'd like to know who his running backs are. See if he can get, if he needs to get a better running back. He's loaded with, receivers.
Zay Jones is out as well in the Jacksonville game, so that would help Christian Kirk more.
That was. That was one of my reasons. Yeah. I know it's going to be him and Ridley, but Kirk comes through at weird times for you.
What up, guys? Wondering who should I play? Moss, Pacheco, Jaylen Warren. My lineup is Hurts, Pacheco, Kenneth Walker, Justin Jefferson, Watson, Goddard. My flex is Michael Thomas. Should I play Tutu Atwell or Christian Watson? Watson's not back yet.
Yeah.
Once he comes back, see what he looks like before you insert him into the lineup. I love his upside. Oh man, none of them are great matchups. I would probably go. Pacheco's been battling injury.
If he's not hurt, I would go with Pacheco.
Yeah, but he has been battling injury all week.
Yeah.
Let me look to see what's going on with Pacheco.
Walker should have a pretty good setup this week.
He's still questionable. Pacheco is, so it's hard to say go with a guy who's questionable, and it's a hamstring at that. So I would probably either go Moss or Jaylen Warren. I'll tell you, Jaylen Warren has some upside because Najee Harris has done nothing.
He's another one. He's another one of my my backups that I'm starting this week.
Moss. Let's see who was Indy playing. Indy's playing Baltimore, so that's probably not going to be great for Moss. I might just gamble on Jaylen Warren, honestly. I love Tutu Atwell. Puka Nacua gets most of the attention. Atwell's good, but
got good stats.
Yeah.
I mean, Puka gets all the press,
Yeah.
Tutu's playing solid. You know, if you can't get Puka, then then Tutu's not a bad situation. Now, when Cup comes back, somebody's going to get lost in the crowd, and it'll probably be Tutu.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But
oh, by the way, his running backs you asked earlier is Josh Jacobs and Kyron Williams. Those, hopefully Jacobs bounces back because he hasn't done nothing yet.
Oh, I tell you, last week was terrible, and he hasn't had a good week yet. But if you're patient, Jacobs was the rushing leader last year. Throw stats aside and hope he comes back. Really.
Yeah. Yeah, and on the piece that we said, see if we can trade for running backs. People aren't giving up running backs,
No.
especially because there's so few of them. So I would probably take the deal if you can get Devontae to add to that core, knowing that you probably won't, because you're better off making the deal and getting Devontae and then trying to flip Devontae for an elite running back. Once, or flip Cup or somebody like that, Puka or somebody like that for a running back. I don't think Olave and Myers would get you one, but the name Devontae Adams alone has a chance to land you a tier 1 RB for someone who needs receiver help. Okay, Bills fan comes in and says, I have Sky Moore, Dalton Kincaid, and Miles Sanders as my choice for flex. Injuries hit me hard. Who would you suggest? Me personally, I'd go Kincaid. And not because I'm just a Bills homer, but because he's starting to see more and more in the pass game. Sky Moore, what Sky Moore do you get? Do you get the guy who drops the ball? Or do you get the guy who catches the touchdown? You don't know. And also with Travis Kelce back another week off of injury, he's going to become more and more involved. And Miles Sanders, I just don't trust Andy Dalton. I don't. At all.
I'd go with Kincaid on that one. And then watch him throw to Knox all day long.
Yep, I'd go Kincaid too. Could maybe get Adams and try to flip him. Yeah, you could. We were just talking about that. You can definitely do that. Scott, sorry to detour. Do you know when Roundtable starts? Ace per head. Tommy was in here earlier. I think it starts at 6 Eastern on Ace per Head's channel. Well, he's in another country. Also, Scott, he's not in the U.S., so I don't know what time it starts for him. So let's see. The Chiefs wide receiver room is such a dart throw. It really is, Alex. Because Mahomes throws to everybody. Unless you're Travis Kelce, you don't know who's going to get it that week. Spen comes in and says about the Kincaid pick. When you said Knox coming off a back injury is probably going to help out Brown a lot. I agree too. He's going to be more of a short route and goal line guy. I don't think he's going to be. Oh, there's Tommy. 6 p.m. Eastern. I nailed it. Bam. Okay. So since the questions have now come through, so let's get back to this. Let's finish the duds. Wide receiver, Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy, A.J. Brown, Jamar Chase was dishonorable mention. And then wide receiver or tight ends was Pitts, Kittle, Njoku, Schultz, and Goddard. So it wasn't real great from the tight end standpoint. Hawkinson, Henry, and Andrews, really did their thing, the upper tier tight ends, but the lower tier was just like Kittle's such a disappointment when it comes to fantasy. He's so good at real football, but fantasy wise, they just don't use him right. It's so disappointing. And I have him in one of my leagues. It's just so disappointing.
I've got him too.
Key matchups for this week. We have Bills at Commanders. So Howie, what do you got on the Bills Commanders game?
Well, I think I told you earlier, my biggest the Redskins' biggest chance of winning is going to be their defensive front. If they can contain Allen, I think they got a decent chance of giving them a game. I don't know that they're going to win, but they've got a good offense. They got a good offense. The Bills have I'm not gonna say a middle of the road defense, but they're not one of the better defenses. You know, they're probably a top 10 defense, but Redskins have been playing tough, and I think if the Bills overlook them, they got a shot at getting beat.
I don't think they overlooked them at all.
Well, let's hope that from a Bills perspective, let's hope not. From a Washington perspective, let's hope so. The one guy I've got in that game who is a real deep dive for me is Cole Turner. He's the tight end for Washington. Like we said, Logan Thomas got knocked out of the last game, and he you know, they like their tight ends in the red zone, and you know, take a look at him if you're hurting for a tight end, really hurting for a tight end. I wouldn't go jump on him, but if you know, not a bad.
Yeah.
I think Brian Robinson is playing great.
Okay.
Howell's on top of the game. He proved he can throw a long ball.
Oh, look at that homer talking about his quarterback. Look at that homer talking about his quarterback. He's on top of his game. He's two starts into his career, and he's on top of his game.
Hey,
listen to you.
You got to go with what you got, man, and I'm all for him.
That's funny.
Now Buffalo, I think the guy who's going to step up in that game, and he's hit or miss every week. He's either garbage or he's going to do well, and I think it's Gabe Davis.
I'd like to see Gabe Davis have back-to-back good weeks. That'd be nice because he had a good week last week, led the team in receiving yards and scored a touchdown. If he can have back-to-back good weeks and start putting more consistency together, that'd be great for the Buffalo Bills' outcome as true football, not just fantasy-wise. I like that, by the way. We have a question comes in and said, would you trade Amon-Ra for Ja'Marr Chase? I would not, and here's the reason why. Although I love Ja'Marr Chase, Joe Burrow has not looked right since that calf injury, and he re-aggravated it. And Ja'Marr Chase has not done anything in the first 2 weeks, and it doesn't look like Joe's going to be super healthy for at least a little while longer. Amon-Ra is one of the top 7 fantasy wide receivers when he's healthy. I would keep him. Like if you got either one of those guys, you would be happy. Chase is a bigger name. Amon-Ra is a bigger fantasy star, in my opinion.
Right. And Chase right now is so quarterback dependent.
Yeah.
That, you know, I mean, Amon-Ra, no matter who's in there throwing, he's going to be one of the big guys, him and Reynolds. But I've got Chase on a team, and he's killing me. You know, if you've got him on your team and you're starting him, you're praying. You know. I mean, even last week, Higgins got the lion's share of the plays.
So it depends. If you have Amon-Ra, I'm not making the deal. If you have Chase and you want Amon-Ra, I might make the deal unless you feel confident that like Joe didn't look right the first 2 weeks, and seeing him limping around after the game, you know, he may be ready for the playoffs. So if you have good receivers where you can bench Chase and wait for him, then I can see doing that. But otherwise, I would take Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's just me, though. Here's another one comes in and says full PPR trade: Kerwynn Williams, Jerry Jeudy for Chris Godwin and Chris Olave. I like the receivers better than Jerry Jeudy. Giving up Kerwynn Williams is a gamble. Who's your other running backs? If you have other running backs than Kerwynn Williams and you can afford to give him up, I like the Chris Olave, Chris Godwin trade because I think those two are better than Jerry Jeudy by himself.
Yeah, they're both very, very solid. You know, they're going to get their numbers.
Yeah,
Judy's really hit and miss. So yeah, I like that. I mean, like I said, knowing your other running backs would be a good thing to know.
Okay, he has Bijan Robinson, Miles Sanders, and Pacheco. Oh man,
Robinson and Pacheco are decent.
Yeah,
but
if he would you be trading Kerwynn Williams if those were your other 3 running backs?
No.
I don't know if I make that deal.
Not for that deal.
I don't know if I make that deal. Although I love Chris Olave, Jerry Jeudy is just coming back from a hamstring injury. Give him time. It's still early. I would say be patient with the Kerwin Williams, Jerry Jeudy. If you're on the Kerwin Williams, Jerry Jeudy side, I'd be patient. If you're on the Chris Godwin, Chris Olave side, and you need a running back, I would make the deal. Because
Yes.
Kerwin Williams is going to be the lead back there. And say what you want, but Sean McVay knows how to scheme up runs. He's really good at it. So, if you're this side of it, be patient. If you're this side of it, then yeah, make the deal. Because then you could use Kerwin Williams. So, John comes in and says, or Alex comes in and says, oh, they're talking about the Joe Burrow, if you can wait on Joe or not. Okay, should I give Hunter Henry for Madison? Full PPR. I have Laporta as well. The problem with Madison is they just traded for Cam Akers.
Yeah.
So
He's
you're
not gonna be-
trading. Yeah, you're trading for a guy who's in a timeshare. I wouldn't do it. Yeah, I wouldn't do it. Although I do love Laporta, and I think Laporta. But if you have a flex, you could play both Henry or Laporta, or you can play the matchups if you have both of them, or look to flip Henry for a better situation. I would not be trading for Madison right now.
Yeah.
One, they're not running the ball very well, anyways, and two, they just traded for Akers, who's gonna steal some of his carries.
Who else do you have for running backs? Yeah.
We don't know. So
I mean,
okay.
it's just Madison just doesn't excite me at all.
He was leaning keeping Kerwin and Jeudy, and I would just play the patience game. We started this podcast off with the theme of this year is patience and scramble for injuries. If you don't have a guy who's been injured yet, great, be patient. If you have a guy who's been injured, scramble to try to backfill. That's your best bet. So okay, while we're waiting on that stuff, let's finish this up. Moving over to the Rams Bengals. What do you got on the Rams Bengals?
Okay. Well, like we talked about, Burrow's inconsistent right now, so I'm looking for the Rams to win this game. I like the three young guys.
Mm-hmm.
I like Higbee. I like Skoranek. He comes out of nowhere a lot of times, and Stafford is throwing really good ball.
Yeah.
Their defense is still solid. I would go after the Rams this week if I was putting money down.
Yep. And then from the Bengals side, it really depends on what Joe looks like.
Right. If
Joe stirs that drink.
If he's old Joe and he is hitting, then they're a dangerous team, but they haven't shown that yet.
Well, he's nursing that calf injury, which is bothering because a lot of the power comes from your base. Sure. And if he can't push off, because it would be his back, it'd be push off foot. If he can't push off to get that power, he can't go downfield.
Yeah, dink and dunk after that. And he's not a dink and dunk thrower.
Yeah, he is. He's Brady 2.0. That's what he does. Like, he likes to go deep when he can, but he's okay with just, doing the death by paper cut. It's just, and it also comes down to what's that offensive line going to do, because it hasn't really held up for him yet so far this year either. That new revamped offensive line. So, I would probably not play the Bengals players right now, but hey, that's just me. Spen comes in and says, I'm a QB hell. I have 2 leagues and I'm stuck with Watson as my quarterback. This is probably a make or break week for Watson against Tennessee. Okay. There's got to be other quarterbacks out there. I mean, even Sam Howell's better than what Watson's put out.
There you go. Oh, Jordan Love. Who else? Stafford.
Well,
I don't know if he's drafted in a lot of leagues.
Chances are he's drafted in 12 to 14 team leagues.
That's drafted. It. Okay.
Yeah. We're looking at. I got Daniel Jones as the backup, and that's not even a great situation. Well, you don't know what Daniel Jones you get. Danny Dimes has not been anything yet.
You know, and they had that big game, but it was against the Cardinals.
You know, is Purdy out there? If Purdy's out there, go look for him. Baker Mayfield, he's been putting up numbers. Maybe grab Baker Mayfield if he's out there.
Yeah.
I don't know what options you have, Spen, but Watson has not been, anything. Yeah, he does get crap yard, cheap yards at the end, but man, I would be looking for a better backup than Danny Dimes, and that's Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield, Brock Purdy, even CJ Stroud's put up really good numbers for Houston. He has a lot of garbage time numbers. I'd be looking at any one of those guys as someone to grab outside of your backup. Watson gets as many points as those quarterbacks as long as he doesn't turn the ball over. Yeah, but I'm talking about, don't replace Watson with him. Keep Watson, but replace Daniel Jones and grab one of those guys as a backup, just in case Watson doesn't do anything. Because Daniel Jones doesn't have, I don't know if you've seen the schedule, but it is horrendous. He doesn't have Saquon. The receivers are suspect. And they just look, and that offensive line is decimated. They lost their left tackle, their left guard, and then they lost their right tackle this week to a sprained ankle. So that Giants team is not looking pretty right now. Should I start Hunter Henry, Miles Sanders, Judy, Burks, Woods on my bench, who goes to flex until Coop comes back?
Yeah.
If I had to choose between these guys, I would probably go Hunter Henry or Jerry Judy. I'm not a big fan of Treylon Burks. I haven't seen anything from him in the year plus that he's been in the league. Robert Woods is good, but he's hit and miss. He's up and down. He's not consistent.
He's more football player.
Yeah, I mean he puts up decent numbers. If you're just looking for average numbers, go with Robert Woods. Miles Sanders, we talked about Miles Sanders already today. I'm not a huge play on him this week. I would either go Hunter Henry or Jerry Judy. Knowing Hunter Henry has the Jets tells me Jerry Judy's probably the play.
Yeah.
What's your take, Jeff?
Yeah, Judy. I mean, I don't like any of them on that list. To be absolutely honest with you.
Yeah.
But if you got to start somebody, Brooks, I'm not sure he's going to do anything this week. Sanders, Henry's got to. You almost got to go with Judy and hope.
Well,
it's a hit and hope shot for me.
Yeah, Judy's going against the Dolphins, who have given up pass yards.
Oh yeah, they gave a bunch to the Chargers.
Yeah, and then they gave up a ton to Mac Jones too.
And Wilson might be on his way back. You never know. I know they're 0-2, but he's been looking better. Since the coach got on his case and said, "Hey, quit kissing babies. Let's get playing ball." I think they shook him up a little bit, and he's got a better attitude right now.
Yeah, and Alex, that's a smart play. I would leave Baker on my bench. He's going against the Eagles, unless Burrow doesn't play. I'm taking my chance with Burrow against the Rams rather than Baker against the Eagles.
Yeah, that's a good idea. But you still don't know if Burrow's even going to play.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out
because they're not gonna let him, keep hurting that calf. Chances are they'll set him down for a week or two and wait for a bye week.
And go to 0-4 and lose your season or play through. Look, they've kind of put themselves in a bad spot.
They're in a bind because they can possibly lose a couple of games without him, or worse, they can lose games with him.
And that's what they have been doing. Yeah. This week's going to be a pivotal week. If they play him and they lose, I think they sit him. If they play him and he wins, I think he keeps battling through it. The only way I see him sitting is if he just looks really bad this week and they lose.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to our final matchup. That's the Chargers versus Vikings, or at Vikings. What's your thought on the Charger-Vikings game?
Play everybody.
No defense. It's all offense.
Yeah. Yeah, even your running backs are looking better this week because of that. And the problem is the two running backs is going to be Madison and Joshua Kelly. So neither one of them are great. Kelly had a
superstar?
decent first week, but he came in toward the end after Eckler was hurt and got his yards. And then week 2, he was just terrible. So I'm looking at your Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson, even KJ Osborne for Minnesota, and then you got for the Chargers, you got Keenan Allen, Mike Wallace, Josh Palmer, Donald Parham,
Yeah.
What's the other guy? Quentin
Johnston. Quentin Johnston. The rookie wide receiver.
He might make it, he might get in there. I mean, they're going to be they're going to be slinging that thing. I mean, I'm pretty sure the over and under in that game is being called right now at probably 50 or 60 something.
Yeah.
And it could be, they could easily score 70 points, but it could be one of them games where they don't, it's 24-27 type of game.
I just don't see it now with those two offenses.
I don't see it that way, but who knows? Somebody might step up. But yeah, I say play everybody you can on that. If you've got them, play them.
I wouldn't play the 2 running backs.
Well,
something tells me that's going to be a pass heavy game.
I'm sitting Olave and Amon-Ra and putting Addison and Williams in.
Yeah,
that's how much I think. And in projected points, there's not a big difference on them. And Addison and Williams have much higher ceiling.
Yeah.
So I'm of course I'm praying this week. I got Jaylen Warren in there, and I got who else did I got for running back?
I don't know.
Anyway, it's a tough week for me. I lost Eckler, and Amon-Ra's got a toe. So the rest of my team, we'll see what happens. If I hit this week, you're just never going to hear the end of it.
Oh, wonderful! That's what I want to say.
I like it.
No, Scott, he'll eat the pepper at the end of the show. So we'll get there, buddy. Any good stashes you have in mind? So yeah, that's a perfect segue. Let's get into Howie's deep dig, deep league diggers. Who you got this week, buddy?
Okay, I got three deep leaguers and then one really deep leaguer. Number 1 is a running back from New Orleans, Kendre Miller. He's only going to be relevant for another week or so until Kamara comes back. But if you need somebody this week, he's going to be the guy. Williams is out with a hamstring. Taysom Hill will get a few of the touches, but it's going to be Miller. He's healthy. He's a rookie, and he's got the best chance there. Mm-hmm. My next guy is a wide receiver from Green Bay. He's been getting the majority of the catches, just not a lot of the press, and it's Jaden Reed. He had a couple touchdowns last week. Like I said, he's not a big name, so he might be out there to grab. I already mentioned Cole Turner, in case you need a tight end this week. And my deep sleeper, Kansas City wide receiver, Justin Watson.
Justin Watson? Okay.
I think that's his name.
Yeah, and I think he's actually a tight end, isn't he?
I'm not sure. I thought it was wide.
He lines up as a wide out, but I think he's an actual tight end.
Yeah.
But yeah, they love Watson. He's their deep play guy.
Yeah. Well, everybody else is, they got a lot of good receivers on that team, but nobody's showing that they can hold on to the ball yet.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Rom comes in and says he has a few Downs. Yeah, Downs is a good one. Dylan is, I don't know. Dylan's hard to play for me. When I see him, he just looks eh. Jones is the lead back when he comes back. I don't know what Jefferson you're talking about. Do you know what Jefferson he's talking about? Because I doubt if Justin Jefferson's available, and I don't think that's who you're talking about in your league, you grab him. Breida, I'm not touching anybody on that Giants team right now, and that's only Darren Waller's about the only one I'd actually touch, and that's even skeptical because that offensive line is decimated, and you haven't seen anything come out of them.
If Reynolds is available, I like him.
Yeah.
He's really. I mean, everybody wants Jahmyr Gibbs to do well, and everybody expects Amon-Ra to get the catches, but Reynolds has been the golden boy lately.
Yeah.
If he's out there, snag him.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. But I like some of these stash ones. Okay. With that, let's hit a few sit and starts. Would you go Geno Smith or Joe Burrow this week?
Oh, I'd go with Geno. He's
Geno against Carolina.
Yeah, well, and you can't go with Joe Burrow's past. Right now he's not someone who I'm going to follow. And Geno has been coming up with some good games, you know. So yeah, I like Geno over Burrow big time.
Here's one. This is a homer one for you. Sam Howell or Jimmy G? Sam Howell versus Buffalo, Jimmy G versus Pittsburgh.
I'm going to go with the homer. I'm going to go with the homer. I think Pittsburgh's pass defense is a little tougher. And but Buffalo, I like Buffalo, but I've said it for a couple of years now that they seem to be a team in disarray. They don't have a real clean focus on where they're going. One week it's run and gun, or not even run. It's mostly gun. And they had a good week last week where they spread everything around. But who knows? It could be back to YOLO again. So I'm going with Howell.
Okay, you realize the defense has been top 5 the last 4 years, right?
I'm still going with them.
All right.
I mean, they should have easily beaten the Jets.
Yeah, that was on Josh Allen. That's not the defense.
So that's what I'm saying. Which Josh Allen are you going to get?
Yeah, but
are you going to get the guy who's thinking? Well, yeah, it could be a defensive game.
Yeah,
it could be a game where they don't score 50 points between them.
And it's supposed to be a slot fest because there's supposed to be a storm.
Oh, good.
It's supposed to be high winds and tons of rain.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
So if I was doing that, I'd probably take Jimmy G because that's gonna be a nasty thing, and there's not gonna be a ton of passing in that game. Okay. Would you go Bijan Robinson again at Detroit, or would you go Jahmyr Gibbs versus Atlanta? They're playing each other this week.
I would go with Bijan.
You go Bijan?
They're still rolling out Gibbs slowly, even though they don't have a lot of choices this week. They're going to have to start running him, but they also went out and picked up what's his name? I was hyping him last year, and they just picked him up.
Atlanta did?
Bam.
Bam.
No,
yeah.
For Detroit.
Yeah. I think Craig Reynolds is going to be the guy who sees time.
He's a little banged up. He's a little banged up too right now, though.
But Bam has to learn the offense, and
right.
He's only been there less than a week.
I'm just saying that Gibbs, that they're still rolling him out, and he hasn't hit his stride yet.
Okay. All right. So here's one that comes in from Big Money Joe, 12-man PPR, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, tight end, and a flex. My running backs are Pollard, Ramondre, Madison, and Kelly. My wide receivers are Chase, Amon-Ra, Nico, Mike Williams, and Addison. My tight ends are Freiermuth and Henry. I like it. What's the question there? Are you just telling us your lineup? Because I like that lineup. I do a lot. I think Pollard is fantastic as a lead back. I think Ramondre, Madison. I'm not a big fan of Kelly. We talked about, but Ramondre and Madison are good RB2s. Having Chase and Amon-Ra are fantastic, and then having Nico, who's one of the sneaky guys, with Williams and Addison, is great.
You got Keenan in there too.
Where?
You got
I miss Keenan. Yeah, I miss Keenan.
Keenan, Nico. I mean, this week, I'm call me crazy, but I'd be playing Keenan, Williams, and Addison out of that group, mainly because Chase, we don't know what's going to happen. Amon-Ra's toes hurting him a little bit. Nico's been hitting, and I love my Nico, but if I had to play guys that are going to get a lot of balls thrown to them this week,
yeah, I'd be playing Keenan and
common sense says not to throw in two wide receivers from the same team, but this week, in that game, you throw every receiver you got in the game in. So I would go Keenan, Williams, and Addison. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I don't think I am.
And what I would do is I would run Pollard and Ramondre.
That's good.
I would run Amara and Keenan as my 2 receivers, and I'd throw Addison as my flex. I don't like the double receivers in the same game. It just you seem like you're just betting against yourself when you do that.
Well,
And then
sometimes
I would
I think they're going to be thrown all over the field this week.
maybe I just it's not something I would do. But you also ran double receivers with those 2 last year, so
I did.
I
I ran double receivers, and the running back and a tight end one game, and the quarterback.
Yeah, and then
5 guys off the same team.
Yeah, and then I would probably go Henry as my tight end.
Yeah, that's a good choice. Freiermuth is always a good decision, but in that case, I would go to Henry.
Sarah goes, this says, which Josh Allen, the one that lit up Washington for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns just 2 seasons ago? Yeah.
That was 2 seasons ago.
Sarah, Howie's a Washington fan. So this is his week. And there is a bet between Howie and I, as there is every time we play.
Hat bet.
It's a hat bet. So it'll be fun.
This is our Super Bowl.
Yeah. So we start Addison, Terry, and London over Sanders as well. I would absolutely start all 3 of those guys over Sanders.
Yes.
Sanders I haven't seen anything from him. No. Have you?
I don't know if they're using him correctly or not. They in the game the other night they couldn't.
Am I missing something on the guy? Because a lot of people like talk him up.
He's not hurting. It's just that they haven't had a chance to. They haven't been ahead, so they don't run the ball, and like New Orleans shut them down. Who else did they play? They played Minnesota the first week, I think, and they won.
Miles Sanders is running back 15. He's been limited. He's been limited in practice this week because of a pec. I don't know. They say he has a good matchup this week, but he doesn't have his quarterback either.
Right.
I'm not a big guy. I'm not a big guy. I like this one. Spin Cleveland's defense or Green Bay's defense? Ooh. So Cleveland is playing. Let's see. Who's Cleveland playing? Cleveland's playing the Titans. Green Bay's playing the Saints. Oh, man.
I like Cleveland's defense there. I mean,
I do too.
If you stop Henry, you stop that team.
I like Cleveland's defense in general.
Yeah, and yeah. No, I like that. Washington's in trouble.
Okay, I got Kirk, Stevenson, Hall, Keenan, Diggs, Olave, Hunter, Judy, Kupp, Sanders. Any tips on what trades to possibly make? Knowing you have Kupp, Diggs, Olave, and Keenan, I would look out there and look to deal one of those guys. Kupp's coming back in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You could probably use another running back. So see if you can. I would, as much as I love Stephon Diggs, he's your biggest name. I would see if I can get a tier 1 running back for Diggs because you have the backups in the other receivers. Keenan's fantastic. Cooper Kupp's gonna be number 1 once he comes back. I would be looking to see if I can swipe a, heck, you might be able, for Diggs. And if you don't want to get rid of Diggs, you really don't, take Olave. See if you can flip Olave for like a Kamara who hasn't come, who's getting ready to come back, or someone like that.
And then the running back market's really thin right now. So you may have to come up. You may have to use one of those 3 better guys.
Yep. Appreciate it, Big Man Joe. We're here every Saturday.
Cool.
Sarah, I love Sarah. Sarah's in there. Sanders looked good week 1. He had 120 yards. Okay. How many touchdowns did he have? There's better backs out there, and I'm not playing a guy who, I'm not a big fan. I love him as a potential, but man, on that team, you don't know what you're getting.
Yeah, they're not real cohesive right now.
Now the mafia's coming in.
Hey, we're
Now
2-0.
Lavage's coming in. Yes, you are. Did you see
You
who
know,
you played?
if we lose,
Did you
if
see
we
who you
lose,
played?
we're 2-1, just like you guys.
You know, yeah.
Oh, I get it. I get it. They've been some tough games for us, and we're not. And I'm not picking them to win the Super Bowl. I'm just rolling with them while it's happening.
Well,
And
you're a fan. How do you not?
if they lose this week, hey, maybe we'll win next week.
Oh,
We're tied. We're tied in our division. That's all I care about.
Yep. I like it. I like it a lot. Every stack wins. That's all about. That's all it's about. See, I love Ron Rivera. I'm a big fan of Ron. Riverboat
Yeah.
Ron. I like a lot of the players on Washington, and I will root for them to win every week they don't play Buffalo. You know, it's just the way it is. Comes in and says, should I trade Mike Williams and Kamara for Jamar Chase? I have Keenan, Puka, Jacoby, Christian Watson, and Pollard. My running backs are Pollard, Monty, and Roshan. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No.
First off, Jamar has done absolutely nothing. You're trading for a name. Mike Williams has put up tier 1 wide receiver stats with Baker so far. And Kamara's getting ready to come back.
Yeah.
And Kamara's getting ready to come back.
Yeah.
And listen, in this offense with this many pass catchers and having a functional quarterback, because I don't think Carr's fantastic, but he's functional. Kamara may look like the old Kamara. So I would need a lot more to get off Mike Evans, let alone Evans and Kamara.
And
if I'm the Jamar Chase guy, I'm making that deal right now, because you also have to remember Joe Burrow has not been healthy.
Oh yeah, if you're the Jamar Chase guy, you're looking to hose you.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it. Because look, you got Christian Watson, you got Monty. They're both hurt right now, but that later in the season, you're gonna you got a lot of depth there.
Yeah.
And you do not need Jamar Chase. I mean, everybody loves Jamar Chase, you know. At draft, you want to pick him in the first round and stuff. But right now, with what's going on, he will hurt your team.
If you're gonna trade Mike Evans and Kamara, you better be getting a tier 1 running back, not another receiver, because you have plenty of receivers.
Yeah. And he loves Evans down in Tampa Bay. Oh my God, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mike Williams went 9 games with Tom Brady last year without a touchdown. He has a couple already with Baker each week.
You keep saying Mike Williams.
Oh, Mike Evans. I don't know why.
Hey,
Mike Williams is stuck on the brain from our argument earlier about playing all these guys. Jamar can come up big later. He can come up big later in the season and in the playoffs. So.
It's a maybe.
Yeah. But are you gonna so Spen? You tell me. Would you make this deal? Would you trade Evans and Kamara for Chase when you already have Evans, Keenan, Puka, and Watson? You know, you're
not upgrading that much.
You're not, and you're getting off.
If you do the math, you're actually losing on that deal.
Yeah. You're trading for a name, and you're trading Kamara, who's going to possibly be your RB2 in the playoffs. You could have 2 tier 1 running backs, you know, and Mike Evans would be wide receiver 1. Keenan is fantastic wide receiver 2, and then who knows what Justin Watson's going to be. Justin Watson could be, put just as big of stats up as Jamar Chase in the playoffs.
Well, and look at last year, he was down for the first part of the year and just came on in the later part. So Christian Watson is wonderful to have late with fresh legs.
Yeah. And Jordan Love has looked very competent so far.
Yeah. Yeah. He doesn't look like the new guy rookie, and that's, you got to give Green Bay credit for that. That they school their quarterbacks for maybe more years than the quarterback would like, but look what they get out of the deal.
Yeah. Because he didn't look like that. He didn't look like this in any of the years prior to this year.
No,
it's that year 4 thing. They did it when they went from Rodgers from Favre to Rodgers, and then Rodgers to them. Seems to be working. So says Christine comes in and says, I don't know, Burrow's gonna have a nagging injury. That's my concern too. Is what are they gonna do with Burrow? They're gonna shut him down at some point. They're already 0-2, so they've kind of backed themselves in the corner where they have to play him. Because if they lose a couple more,
especially in the division.
Yeah,
that's a tough division to get out of.
Yeah. What type of league is this? This is just the show is just all the different leagues. What his league is, we're not sure. We didn't hear. This is just talking, fantasy football in general. We'll talk about, whether it's a PPR league, whether it's a keeper league, redraft league. It's just a show of two dudes sitting around talking to people, kind of like me and Tommy talking Bills, me and Howie talking fantasy.
Well, Sarah, what type of league are you in? Maybe we can help you out there.
Yep.
Let's see because it doesn't matter if it's 14 team or 8 team with us.
Yeah.
We'll look for what you need.
Yep. I mean, heck, Spin introduced us to the Vampire League last week.
Yeah. That's real interesting,
Love is gonna win a Super Bowl and play 15 seasons in Green Bay and then leave Green Bay to play one season.
Well, I'm sure the Green Bay fans would go with you on that.
I would if I was a Green Bay fan, I'd sign up for that right now because you get another.
Oh heck yeah! I'll take a Super Bowl in 15 seasons. Are you kidding me?
That is great.
I'll be dead by then.
Yeah, Rodgers is gonna go to Minnesota next year. Yep, that's kind of how it goes. Kirk Cousins is gonna leave. Kirk Cousins is gonna end up in New York, and Rodgers is gonna end up in Minnesota. That's just the way it works. It's already written in stars. I need Josh Jacobs to do better. Everybody needs Josh Jacobs to do better.
Same answer. Everybody needs Josh.
They have. I mean, let's put it in perspective. Josh Jacobs had no preseason. No training camp. He held out. This is game 2 for him, so he's still working off the rust. I don't think it's a Josh Jacob issue as well. I'm not a big fan of the New England type of culture that they're trying to bring to Las Vegas with McDaniel. He's just not that good. Like, I don't get it. He doesn't run. He has Hunter Renfrow, who is a clone of Edelman and Welker and all those guys, and he refuses to use them in his offense, which makes zero sense. I don't get it.
Yeah. That's got to be a personal thing.
Yeah. So here's another one. It says my team is Goff, Mostert, Moss, Debo, Evans, Andrews, 49ers, and Jake Moody. Bench, he has Cook, Reynolds, Gus, Pierce, Deshaun. Had Barkley, Chubb, and, any advice? I love Barkley. Hold on to him because he'll be back in a week or two.
You're still solid.
Yep. Chubb hurts. Not gonna, not gonna lie. That's just.
But he's gone.
The gut punch. Yeah, he's gone. Mozart's is a solid RB2. When Barkley comes back, you'll insert Barkley from Moss. What Cook do you have? Do you have James or do you have Dalvin? Because that's a big difference. Yeah. James is the Cook that you want, as he seems to be getting more and more of the playing time here. You're pretty solid. I like your receivers. Debo and Evans, or Andrews is a stud. I think you're good. Any advice? Stay patient. That's my advice to you. Stay patient, because Pierce is also a guy who's probably starting to pick it up. He was not doing good, early, but once they get once they get their offensive line back, he could have a big year. So stay patient. Howie just disappeared on me. So, let's keep moving on over. He has Dalvin. Okay, you have Dalvin. I'm not a big Dalvin fan because he's stuck in a timeshare with Breece Hall, and really they haven't. I'm granted they played Dallas, so he didn't really have a chance to do anything. But hey, Dalvin's not bad to hold on to. Who knows what's going to happen later in the year? Should I trade Zay Flowers for Dameon Pierce? I lost Chubb last week and looking to upgrade my running backs. I would, if it's not a keeper league and this is just a standard redraft league, yes, I would trade Zay Flowers for Dameon Pierce. If it's a keeper league or a dynasty league, absolutely not. You want to keep Zay Flowers. He has a higher ceiling. But if it's just a redraft, then yeah, you make that deal. All right. Chubb was a huge loss. That was yeah. Chubb was a huge loss for a lot of people. A lot of people. I don't have James. I have a lot of running backs though. Madison, Eckler, Jacobs. Okay, you got plenty. Eckler will be back. Hopefully Jacobs gets better, and then you have a great 1-2 punch. So you're good there. AFC North might have been overhyped a bit, like the AFC West last season. Very good defense, but yeah, Sarah, you're right there. You know, it's more of a defensive league, and they just beat each other up. So did Howie get sick of looking at Mikey's face? I don't know what happened to Howie. We'll see if he pops back on. Dawkins needs a big game this week. Yeah, I agree. It's not just Dawkins. I think the whole offensive line needs a big game this week. The Commanders have a top 3 defensive line in this league, and we better be ready to go. Anyone else worried about that field with the rain? Yes, I'm worried about that field without the rain. You know, honestly, Sarah, that field is crap. The only positives, if it rains, it might not, it might help them not stick, which is good. But man, yeah, that field is just ugly. Let's see. Gabe Davis. I need Gabe and Kincaid to have big games. I'll take Kincaid all day long. I don't know where Howie went. I do have so I'll make him eat 2 next week. 2 peppers next week. I don't know who his hot pepper challenge is this week, so we'll have to find out. But then for X Factors, he has Jordan Addison. I have Travis Etienne. Hold on 1 second. He's calling me right now. We are still live. What's going on, brother?
Are you still live?
Yeah, we're still live.
You were all jammed up.
Oh no, you dropped off. So click the link to come back in.
You're still frozen though.
Okay, so get out of it, like exit out, and then click the link to come back in. Because we're still live. So who is your hot pepper challenge this week? While you're doing that, hot pepper challenge this week.
I did it.
Who is it?
Brian Robinson.
Brian Robinson. So it's Brian Robinson, and it's what? So what was the numbers?
100 scrimmage and a touchdown.
100 scrimmage and 1 TD. Okay. Don't worry about it. I have your X Factor. I'll call you after we're done here.
No, you were frozen up, so I kept going.
Well, yeah, you dropped off. You dropped off the whole screen. Like you're gone.
Oh dear.
So
I thought you were the one.
Nope. So I'll call you after we're done here.
Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna see if I can get back.
Okay. All right. So Spin, it's raining on the field. It's also raining sewage. Yes, they're working on that. But if you are going to the game and you're a Bills fan, please take an umbrella and stay away from the concourse. Stay out from underneath the thing. Stay out in the open because you do not want to get that. But Howie's hot pepper challenge this week is Brian Robinson at 100 yards and a touchdown. He did fail last week. He will eat the pepper next week for that. Our X Factors will be Travis Etienne for myself, and Howie will have Jordan Addison. So with that, Howie was not able to get back in, so we're sorry about that. We'll be back. We drop our waiver wire videos on Wednesdays, and then we'll be back live next Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 Pacific. For Howie, I am Mikey, and we'll see you guys next time.